I was just changing my network, okay? Okay, screen sharing, all good to go. I hope you can see everything crystal clear. ठीक है. Okay, so let's start. Economic survey, chapter number 7. Very important chapter, services, because it's the highest contributor to our GDP. Okay. So in that case, it is important for you to understand the stability to the new frontiers. It means how services started in 1990s, and this economic survey talks about all those things which you think that India is doing well in the 21st century. Okay. So let's understand about this, because according to this chapter of the survey, okay, the chapter of that is of this economic survey says that India's shock absorber, they called services sector as the shock absorber, okay, and productivity engine and global connector. Okay, so if you just see, they said three things. Okay, shock absorber, okay, productivity engine, and global connector. Global connector. So services sector acting like that. Now when the survey starts, when you read the chapter, you will realize that they talk about why services matter more than ever. Okay, because economic survey begins this chapter by making a powerful statement related to the world economy. What was that? That when the world slows down, India's service sector keeps the economy steady. That's what economic survey opening line of this chapter. Okay, because unlike manufacturing and agriculture, services are not cyclical in nature. They are less cyclical, less trade restricted. If tariffs and everything is there, services does not have much of that impact. More skill intensive, so if you have skills and all, it's more related to that, not product based. Okay, and it is increasingly going digital. Okay, so survey says that services are no longer a residual sector. Okay, they are India's primary stabilizer. Okay, let's see what it is in the introduction. So even goods trade stagnates, it's act as a key stabilizer. Okay, digital deliverable, knowledge intensive, so you can see skill and going more digital. Okay, so reduce dependency on geography as well, faster scaling and new value creation. So India stands out for achieving service led at a relatively low per capita income level, unlike traditional manufacturing first path followed by many countries like agriculture, manufacturing, services. And that is just because how talented our people is. Okay, India's service sector contributes more than GVA, more than half of GVA. Okay, so almost 55%. Major source of export and employment, although not in comparison to the manufacturing sector, but yes, it's a main source. It shows a stable high growth with lower volatility than agriculture and industry. So you can see this is the growth rate. Has become a global player now India is 7th largest service exporter. So global trade share more than doubling since 2005. And it attracts largest share in FDI inflows in the country. Okay, so service sector is working amazingly. Now, pandemic led structural rebalancing in global services. So COVID-19 hit contact intensive service, okay, where we need to connect to people, okay. So that is, we can say, tourism, hospitality, and transport. They've started seeing recovery in recent times, okay. At the same time, it accelerated digitally delivered service like IT, finance, professional services, where India is leading, okay, because digital services are higher value added. Okay, their rise increased the overall share of services in global GVA. So again, you can say the growth is going on. India's share is increasing in export, plus our share of in our GVA, the share is also increasing or is very high already. Okay. So survey said that service contributes over half of GVA that we have seen. Okay. So large share of employment as well. India's export earning. So even if you see global merchandise trade, okay, that is suddenly weakened. It weakened global merchandise trade. So India's overall growth remained resilient largely due to services are already in momentum. Okay, so India's growth model is structurally service led, not temporary so. Okay, that is why India is in a comfortable position. Now, if you see rising services share in GDP, okay, India outpaced many peers, similar countries. Okay, so globally, service gained larger role in GDP after pandemic because of everything going online. Okay, India followed this trend more strongly. Like India's services share in GDP rose to almost 49% in 2024, about 1.5 percentage point above pre-pandemic average. So the increase was largely than the global average. Okay, so larger than the global average of many advanced economies. Shift in global trade towards services. So services are forming a larger share of global trade to GDP after pandemic because people are more comfortable. Okay, interacting virtually and delivering and buying virtually. So this reflects gradual rebalancing of goods towards services. Okay, though it is uneven across countries, but yes, it is. So India recorded a stronger growth in services as a percentage of GDP compared to its pre-pandemic average, outperforming several advanced economies. And that is why you see that European Union leaders coming to India to have a deal. So India's strength in digitally deliverable tradable services. Service also dominating capital flows. It means in the capital account, the money that we are attracting, that is FDI, okay, is also one of the biggest thing. Okay, so stability role is there. Okay, it has a structural advantage. Now globally, services now attract a larger share of FDI. Okay, like if you see energy, gas, information, communication, construction and transport, India mirrors this pattern even more strongly. Services accounted for 80% approx total FDI flows, higher than pre-pandemic levels. So you can see in India, if you see recently, insurance sector and every other sector, gradually government is opening. Major recipients are IT, information and communication, professional services, finance and insurance, energy, trading. Okay. So these are the major areas where middle class is having income and rise in the income level in recent years. So this shows that India's growing position in digital knowledge intensive and infrastructure linked services. Okay. So in FDI also services are playing a very important role. Okay. They work as automatic stabilizer. Okay. If you see India's services share in GDP strengthens in with global trades. Okay. So here you can see this is pre-COVID levels. This is 2024. Deviation from pre-COVID levels. Okay. So here if you see China, UK, India, World, European Union, US, and you see the share is there. Percentage share in nominal GDP. So India's share you can see here in the blue, here in the like pre-COVID, and deviation you can say 1.5. So deviation is less. Yeah. So India's services share in GDP strengthens. Now global shift in services. So again you can say IT, finance, professional services. You'll find majorly this. You'll see pre-pandemic level, the comparison. Now what's the more important thing here is because when you good in services like Indian economy, okay, we have lower dependency on global supply chain. Okay. Because nothing is moving, all invisible. So less dependency on supply chains are important here. In that case, we have less exposure to tariff and other logistics disruption by other countries, but it has higher reliance on human capital. Okay, higher reliance on human capital. What does it mean? It means that then the physical capital is not that important, that human capital is in the services sector. Okay, ठीक है, clear है? Everyone clear about this? Just write clear in the chat box. Okay, clear. So IT and business services continue to generate export earnings in India, despite we have slowed down in global technical hiring, okay, tech hiring, and a tighter monetary policy in advanced economy. Still, India is earning. Okay. So Ashutosh is asking, sir, something. So the way service sector is know-how intellectually intensive, can we say that this is the sector of our economy that embodies the crucial aspect in our quest of fulfilling? Service sector is our advantage in simple sense. Now, whatever you call Vishwa Guru, or you want to become developed country by 2047. Okay. But here I can say that service sector is driven by our own talented workforce. Now, if you see changing pattern of global services FDI, how it is changing. So services now attract majority of global FDI, rising 51% pre-COVID to 53% in post-COVID. So FDI has become more concentrated in energy and gas supply because every economy is growing. They need and they have energy needs, information communication, construction, transport, storage. So like for example, from Middle East also, if you see T20 World Cup is going on, if you see the advertisement, you see the advertisement of Aramco, you see the advertisement of Emirates, that's related to transportation. You will see the advertisement in terms of other energy related companies. So post pandemic flow shows shift towards energy security, digital connectivity. Because if there is no electricity for 48 hours, no electronic device in our home will survive. So that is why energy security is important. Digital connectivity is important. Okay, for inclusivity also. Then infrastructure. If you have internet but not high speed, problem. Reflecting geopolitical and supply chain concerns. Okay, clear again. Once again, please, everyone in the chat box. Now, India experiences mirrors global trends. Okay, Now, services exports is our strength. It's our invisible strength. It's the strongest section of the chapter that focuses on service exports. Okay. So you see 80%, over 80%, India's total FDI inflows, higher than pre-pandemic. Again, the same areas. So nearly 90% of services FDI flows into digital, knowledge base, and these other things. Okay. You see here, services trade underpins India's growth resilience. Blue is pre-COVID levels. Okay. Here you can see. This 2024, and this is deviation. Okay. Now, services driving growth despite global uncertainty. So, amid geopolitical tension and global slowdown, India's service sector accelerated in H1 26, FY26. H1 FY26 means April to September. H1 means half one of the financial year. Okay, so April to September 2026 is called H1. So, share in GDP rose to 53%, higher than H1 FY25, above pre-pandemic levels. Okay. So services GVA grew by 9.3% in H1 FY26, up from 7% a year earlier, making it primary engine of economic growth. Now, key subsectoral. So here you can say financial sector, real estate sector, professional services. They are the largest growth contributor. But public administration, defense, and other also saw increase. Okay. And then trade, hospitality, transport, communication service, they also saw gradual recovery post-COVID. Okay. So this is how India offset merchandise deficit. Okay, merchandise trade deficit. Employment and labor market role. Okay. Now, before we move on to this, you see, if you're reading newspaper regularly, you must have seen that net services exports continue to support the current account deficit. Even when goods trade deficit widened, but still the export surplus from services continue to fulfill the gap. If you remember chapter 4, external sector, we had studied. This chapter also linked directly with that. So services continue anchor urban employment. About 62% of urban workers engaged in this sector. So urban areas' standard of living also coming from services sector. EPFO payroll data shows services contributed over half of net formal job addition. So that's how government get the idea. If EPFO payroll improves, so highlighting its role in the labor market resilience. Now, high frequency indicators show continued momentum, like services PMI, purchasing managers index, shows the growth. Okay. So remained expansionary around 59. If it is more than 50, it's growth. If less than 50, it's negative. Okay. New export orders are also growing at a slower pace, but due to global competition, not because of any other area. Bank credit to services also accelerated in late 2025, especially NBFC, tourism, trade, MSME. They are indicating supportive financing conditions. Now, services exports as a growth buffer. Services exports are acting as a shock absorber amid weak global goods trade. Their share in GDP rose to 10% in H1. So you see that service exports are also helping in providing buffer in terms of slowdown in merchandise trade. Okay. So growth remains again consulting, professional services, software services, etc. All are knowledge intensive exports. Okay. So services continue. You see public administration, defense, other services, then financial, real estate, professionals, trade, hotels, and all. And then the overall service sector, that is 51. So pre-COVID, H1, H1, H1. So the same period we are comparing H1. So here you can see this is 22. So this is 24. Okay, this is 16. So trade, hotel, transport is decreasing. Obviously, due to COVID, the slowdown is still visible. But here in other areas, you see public estimation, defense, and other services, it is growing. Okay. Now, service sector remains central to urban employment dynamics. So if you see periodic labor force survey data, this shows 61.9% of total urban population, slightly higher than pre-pandemic period average. So this shows that urban job creation remain heavily dependent on services. So even after recovery from COVID disruption, you see that service sector continues to backbone in urban employment. Okay. EPFO, Employee Provident Fund Organization payroll data of April to July FY26 further confirms this trend. Okay, 51.7% net formal jobs added came from service sector. So new job added almost 50% from service sector. Okay. So expert services, trading, commercial establishment, cleaning services, etc. Okay, household survey data, PLFS, and formal employment payroll data. So services are not just absorbing workers informally. Formal employment growth is also there. Okay, like it's not Zomato, Blinkit. It's about IT services in India. Okay. So services sector drives urban unemployment. Services continue to drive net payroll. So here see from 22, 23, 25, and then you can say 26 again. Percentage of people employed in tertiary sector, that is urban. Okay. So here it is, the percentage is clear. This dot line is the average. So somewhere around, we can say 60, 61. High frequency data. Okay. If you see urban jobs, service contributing urban jobs, skilled employment, and formal sector opportunities. But constraints are in urban areas. What are those constraints? That job creation is uneven. High-end services absorb skilled labor. What about others? So low-skill services often remain informal. Okay, like going from one place to another place on a Rapido is not required that much of skill. Okay, the skill required in finding a bug in a mobile app of Zomato requires more skill. Okay. So growth in platform-based services like logistic, delivery, mobility, they created job, but raised the question on job quality and social security. So survey implicit message that survey says that services growth must become more employment intensive to be more inclusive. Okay. So again, you see PMI service index is well above 50 is the expansion mark. Okay, more than 50 expansion, less than 50 is contraction. So domestic demand was the main growth driver. You see, as I always say in India, huge amount of domestic consumption is there. We have so many people that our own consumption can drive the whole economy. Okay, then you see services export expanded. So a new export business index 53.5. So growth moderated to the fourth quarter due to global competition and protectionist trend, but yes, it's still in a positive note. Okay. Expansion mark is 50. More than 50 is expansion. Okay, Devashish. Bank credit to services improved like from this to this. Okay. So 5-year average is around 14%. Credit growth was led by NBFC lending. So again, supported by retail, MSME, etc. Now, services export as a buffer amid global uncertainty. So rising importance, services exports now form a key pillar for India's external sector, increasing from 7.4% of GDP to nearly 9.7% of GDP, touching 10% in H1. Shock absorber amid weak global goods trade due to geopolitical tension. Policy uncertainty, services have held stabilized growth and external balances. So again, you can say it worked as a shock. High growth momentum, I already explained. Software dominance, because software services contributing over 40% of total export services. Okay, so TCS, Infosys, what they are doing. Professional services rising. So rising the professional services, consulting, management services, chartered accountant, accounting services. These all come under professional services. Okay. Then a structural shift. Software and professional services together account for 65 plus 65% plus of services export. So it means high value, skill intensive segments. If you see India's UPI, account aggregator, ONDC, they are expanding services throughout the country. On the same lines, IT industries, building software and exporting to the Western market. Okay. So what's the way forward? Way forward is focus on diversification, value addition, adapting to change the global demand. Okay. Now, if you see trade agreement for promoting services, so India has done several. See what are those. Okay. So what are the key objectives? First of all, easier movement of professional, that is mode 4, through visa facilitation, longer stays and quotas. Support for digitally delivered service, that is mode 1, such as IT, consulting, education, telecom. Mode 3 is greater commercial presence abroad, okay, allowing Indian firms to invest and operate overseas. Mutual recognition agreement to recognize Indian qualification, the fields like nursing, accountancy and architecture. Okay, like for example, accepting their skills with the help of degree. Okay. And reduction of a social security burden, professional and short-term foreign assignments. Yes, Aditi. Major recent agreement, you can say India UK market access of 137 services subsectors like including chef, yoga instructor, musician, etc. Social relief by a double contribution convention. Strong openings in digital, AI, fintech, cloud, education, healthcare services. So it helps India reposition from back office hub to high value technology. Like India is popularly known for. Is known for what? Known for providing backend services. Okay. But now India is coming in the front line. So India Oman CEPA. So commitments in 127 subsectors. So you can see accountancy, taxation, and then architecture, medical services. So this is how 100% FDI allowed for Indian firm in many Omani service export service sectors. Okay. So high skill employment is increasing India's commercial presence in West Asia. India EFTA TEPA enforced, so improves accessibility via digital delivery, commercial presence, mobility of professionals. You know, three things are there. Okay, let me explain you. If India is here, digitally delivered, it means without moving from one place to another. Commercial presence, Indian firms going there. And mobility of professional means Indians are going there, not firms. Okay. So services, support in services, exports in IT, business services, cultural, education, audiovisual sectors, etc. So these are the sectors. Okay. Now servicification of manufacturing. In manufacturing sector, we are looking for making it like services. Okay, what does it mean? Servicification of manufacturing means increasing integration of services. Like for example, if you are manufacturing car, you design those, do R&D, logistics, make software so car becomes technologically upgraded, finance, compliance, after sales support. So whole manufacturing chain, India is pushing towards making it like services. Okay. Now why it matters? Because growing share of products value now becoming India as like it is embedded supported services, not just physical production. So value is shifting. Value is not only like in person. Global significance, services account for nearly 1/3 of manufacturing export value in advanced economy and about 1/4 in developing economies. So this is often hidden in gross trade data. Sectoral relevance, industries such as electronics, machinery, metals, textile, they depend heavily on service inputs like IT, logistics, finance, design, etc. Okay, so the productivity gains, firms with higher service intensity are generally more productive, more export oriented, better positioned to enter high value segments like branding, innovation, and after sales solution. So I hope you understand the first line. Is it clear? The servicification of manufacturing. Okay. So wherever is required, is it clear with everyone? How servicification of manufacturing will happen? Because this is the high probability term that you may expect in the exam. Okay. Now, if you see India's experience, so greater use of service inputs, like for example, if you see domestic service value addition, so again, manufacturing employment is increasing. So in metals, textile, electrical. How policy significance? So everything will be improved. Like even if you are delivering certain goods, you need logistical support. In addition to that, you need softwares as well. Okay. So benefits of servicification depend on an efficient and competitive services ecosystem. Okay, so core insight is manufacturing and services are complements, not competitors. So strengthening services can increase manufacturing value addition, enhance export competitiveness, and support employment growth. So all these three things will help India in the medium term. Now, if we see tourism sector, key trends. So domestic tourism, main growth engine. Tourist visit grew 17.5% and surged 52.7% in January to September. So you can see as like we are moving towards post-pandemic era, everything which is requires a physical touch is increasing. Okay, strong domestic travel demand has offset weakness in foreign arrivals. So if foreigners are not coming, Indians are doing the compensation. Okay, hotel occupancy remained consistently above 60%. So a sustained momentum is there. 60% hotel rooms are occupied. Okay. International tourism mixed recovery. So total international tourist arrival reached around 20 million in 2024, above pre-pandemic levels. However, FTAs remain below pre-COVID levels due to global economic slowdown and instability in key source markets. So, okay. So growth in international travel is slower across Asia Pacific region as well. So it's not just us, but if you see the data of Indonesia, if you see the data of Singapore, Malaysia, you will find the same. Economic contribution, so tourism contributed around 5.22% of GDP. Okay. Supported 8.46 crore jobs, direct, indirect, 13% of total employment. Foreign exchange earnings from tourism reached USD 35 billion in 2024. Okay. Sector has strong linkages with transport, hospitality, and trade, making it highly employment intensive. Okay. So that's why tourism is important. Okay. See, foreign tourist arrival, international tourist arrivals. There's a slight difference. Okay. The difference is simple. When the question comes, what's the difference between international tourist arrivals and foreign tourist arrivals? Okay. This is a simple thing. When you see international tourist arrivals, they represent total number of foreign passport holders. Okay, and non-resident nationals. But FTAs are like foreign passport holder. So if suppose, for example, my friend living in USA, having US passport holder, okay, but non-resident national visiting a country, they all are part of FTAs. Okay, make sense? So FTA count only the foreign passport holder, but ITA, that is international tourist arrival, is non-resident Indians as well. Make sense? Clear? Good question, Gargi. So rise of high value segments, medical wellness tourism. Now medical tourist arrivals grew much faster than overall inbound tourism. Share of medical tourism in FTAs rose from 2% to 6.5%. Obviously, the data is of a longer 15 years period. Okay. So higher spending, longer stays make high value non-seasonal segment. If you go to Varanasi, you will find a lot of foreigners involved in yoga. You go to Rishikesh, you will find that. Although I did not go, but my family member friends went, so they saw Rishikesh, Varanasi. A lot of foreign tourists uh, were there doing yoga, meditation, and all. So market size is projected to grow sharply by 2030. So yeah, anyone of you living in those areas can also confirm. Governance and state capacity matter, like successful tourism model of Gujarat, Kerala, Sikkim, Varanasi show that local governance, planning, infrastructure, and management are crucial. That's why people visit. Otherwise, nobody. Effective coordination improves crowd management, sustainability, sanitation, visitor experience. Okay. Like when you go to any Indian tourist site, you find a lot of dirt and all. It's not just the government alone. We as the people of India should also take responsibility of not littering. And it will see immense amount of increment in the tourist visit. Policy shift towards experience-based tourism. Okay. Swadesh Darshan 2.0. Prasad. Challenge-based development. Like thematic and sustainable destination. Visitor-centric infrastructure. Campaigns like Dekho Apna Desh and Incredible India, along with visa easing and Udan, Ode Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, the connectivity to the regional airports. They are also boosting travel to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Okay. If you find a direct flight, you would prefer that one instead of going with any other route. Okay. So Udan scheme also helped. Future growth requires a stronger state and local implementation capacity. Okay, focus on tourist experiences like cleanliness, as I told you, safety, where people can feel safe in roaming around the cities. Like Ahmedabad is one of the safest city. Okay, even if you travel to Himachal Pradesh, is also one of the safest. And the mobility, service quality, etc. So digital tools, private participation, better air connectivity, visa facilitation, or medical tourism, stronger global brand. Okay, like for Leh Ladakh, Andaman Nicobar. Untapped niche opportunities, long distance eco hiking trails, sustainable tourism, marina and coastal tourism infrastructure to attract high value leisure and sailing tourism, potential to generate coastal employment to support the blue economy which is related or dependent on water. So you can see here, you can see sustained growth in domestic travel, international tourist arrivals, okay, hotel occupancy. So these graphs will give you immense amount of clarity. Okay. So here you see, here again you can see, and here also. Now, if we see sector wise, we go to IT sector. Okay. So ITES sector key highlight, steady but moderate growth. So industry revenue reached around USD 283 billion in FY25, growing 5.1 year on year. Despite weak global tech spending, still IT service exports grew 3.7%, continuing to support India's external sector stability. Okay. Rise in global capability centers, like India hosts 1700 plus global capability centers, employing around 19 lakh professionals. So now handle core innovations like AI, product engineering, analytics, cybersecurity, not just back office work. So India is taking a leap here. An expansion into tier 2 and tier 3 city. So tech employment, we are spreading geographically as well. Okay. Now you see shift towards high value innovation led work, shift towards high value. So again, AI, cloud computing, data engineering, that gives high value addition and more dollars to Indian economy. Simple sense. Data center, why? Because we have data localization policy. It means if you are collecting data in India, you should store that data in India itself. Then only you'll be able to allow to do trade. So again, you can say 1.4 gigawatt to this 8GW. Now, growing cybersecurity importance. Why? Because cybersecurity plays a very important role. Frauds and everything. A lot of things are there. So government server must also be secure. Then a structural global demand shift. So global clients now prioritizing productivity enhancing tech like AI, automation, and cloud. Okay. So these sector face a structural transformation, not just a cyclical slowdown. Like in IT, demand goes up and down. But now it's a structural transformation. The whole structure of the technology is changing. Okay, so here you can see the growth in the graph in terms of revenue, in terms of headcount, in terms of number of GCCs. Now, transport service. So, transport service contribute 4.5% to India's GVA, backbone for manufacturing, trade, and overall mobility. Growth has been supported by public investment, so that is crowding in effect. Okay, where government invests and the private sector follows. Then physical infrastructure and logistic modernization. Like anywhere you order, you get your parcel in 2 to 3 days, maximum 4 to 5 days. Okay. Ports and waterways rising capacity. Like cargo handled at Indian ports increased. So you can see the capacity increase in last 10 years to almost 50% capacity increase. Major ports recorded 8.2% growth in cargo traffic. So you can see that cargoes are moving fast and capacity is increasing. Overall vessel turnaround time reduced from 43 hours to 30 hours. Okay. Turnaround time when first time they touch and they move. Hong Kong and New Zealand is one of the fastest. It's 10 hours. Okay. So right now India is working well. If it can improve. Inland waterways cargo surged from 18 metric tons to 145 million tons, showing better multimodal integration. So inland waterways are also surged. Inland waterways means inside our country if there are waterways. Aviation. So air passenger traffic grew 9.4%, reaching 411 million, driven by both domestic and international. So growth moderated due to temporary disruption, demand adjustment, but air cargo grew, but slowed to 5% in this amid higher cost, capacity limits, and geopolitical uncertainty. So you can see aviation is one of the riskiest market, but yes, the future is bright. Okay, the future is bright. Now, rail freight backbone of bulk logistics. So if you want to send huge amount of material, cost effective, 50% cheaper than road, okay, but takes time. That is why we need dedicated freight corridors. Okay, so freight loading crossed 1.6 billion tons and continued growing. Okay, like for example, coal, iron ore, cement, steel, fertilizers, food grains. You must have seen malgadis filled with coal. Okay. So efficiency gains from dedicated freight corridor. If you have passenger train, corridor is separate from freight. Then freight will also get the speed. New track commissioning. So laying down new tracks will help. Digital tools like FOIS, Freight Operation Information System. Policy support for bulk cement and rationalized freight rates. Okay. Now, telecommunication and expanding connectivity, digital capabilities. Okay. So, role in the economy, transport service contribute 4.5% to India's GVA, act as a backbone for manufacturing, trade, and overall mobility. Growth has been supported by public investment, especially as I told you, in terms of telecommunication, crowding in effect helps a lot. So when government invest and a more spectrum, more speed in the internet, etc. So that is also connecting. So this is contributing 1.2% of India's GVA. Okay, these are important data, how much contribution each sector is having. Backbone of productivity, digital services, e-commerce, fintech, and overall connectivity. Telephone connection increased to this. So you can see tele-density rose from 75 to 86% with a strong rural expansion. So in rural areas, telephone density is there. So that will improve digital inclusion. Again, internet subscribers surged from 25 crore to 100 crores. Everyone is having internet nowadays. They don't have. If you don't have, you're lagging behind. Okay, roti kapda makan ke baad, we need internet. Do you agree with me? Roti kapda makan, internet. Significant deepening of broadband penetration nationwide. Data revolution. So monthly data consumption per user increased from 62 MB. You see 62 MB per month to 25 GB. But I'm laughing by seeing this figure 62 MB because I used to access WhatsApp at that time. Data prices declined sharply from 300 rupees per GB to 8 rupees per GB. So India is one of the most affordable, most affordable. Internet means mobile phone, na beta? कैसे चलाओगे? You are saying like it's getting more electricity connection means more fan light, है ना? हाथ में तो चलाएंगे नहीं. ठीक है. Strengthen digital infrastructure, development of indigenous 4G and 5G core technologies. Okay, placing India's is one of the capabilities. Then national programs expanded national network coverage capacity. So telecom, cybersecurity, disaster resilient communication system, because at the time of disaster, internet doesn't work. So through satellite phones and all. Progress towards next generation secure technology, quantum secured communication as well. Now it comes to real estate and housing services. Now, if we see real estate and housing services, it is important to understand. What it is important to understand? That when we see, okay, try to understand from this perspective. If you see real estate in India, we need affordable housing. Right now in Indian economy, affordable housing is missing. People are making luxury housing. So if you see in every city, housing becomes unaffordable. You must have experienced that. Housing gradually going out of reach. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? In tier 1 to bhule jao, tier 2 cities as well. The apartments are crossing 1 crore mark for 3 BHK. So right now in Indian real estate market, HNIs are there, high net worth individuals. Okay, so significant economic contribution of there, but yes, housing is a stress. See one thing. So it accounts for 7% of India's GVA. Okay. Central to services-led growth with strong linkages of construction and financial services. Yes, Harshita, I agree. The apartment and the construction quality is also substandard. Reforms such as real estate Regulatory and Development Authority Act, RERA, to improve transparency and accountability. Implementation of GST, streamlined taxation. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, urban housing for all, boosted affordable housing and formalization. Now, this is a very good scheme. Okay. I don't know how many of you are having house in this scheme, but yes, this is in the center of the city. So people have access. Then interest subvention scheme under Awas Yojana. They give concession on registry as well. Lower interest rate helps easier credit, improved loan access. Urban initiatives like Smart City Mission, Urban Infrastructure Development Fund, they also stimulated demand in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Post-pandemic recovery is there, seen sustained recovery. Household shifting saving towards physical assets. And during COVID, it was like more cash saving. Housing sales remain above pre-recovery levels. Okay, so outstanding individuals housing loans rose from 10 lakh crore to 37 lakh crore. It means total loan, housing loan, taken by all the individuals in our country. So housing loans as a share of GDP increased from 8% to 11%. Deeper integration with formal financial system. Okay. So if you have a income, household income less than 8 lakhs, you can buy Awas Yojana flat. Okay. So here you say increase household saving, increased household saving from a physical assets. So if we see this was increasing, a small dip, then again picked up. And this line is saving in physical assets. The percentage of GDP. Okay. Now media and entertainment. This is like almost the last slide. Media and entertainment. So media and entertainment sector, major component of service economy. Covers film, broadcasting, digital media, animation, gaming, advertising, live entertainment. Estimated size 2.5 trillion. So this is also digital led structural shift like VFX, post production, dubbing, localization. Like right now, shooting does not take much time in media and entertainment. It's editing. Film and audio video strength. So you can see here again, video subscription revenue reaches 9,000 crores. Advertising and broadcasting transformation. So advertising shifting from linear TV to OTT and mobile platform. So digital advertising growing faster than traditional media. High growth export segment. So animation, VFX. Okay. Orientation due to skilled talent and cost competitiveness. Online gaming. So you can see online gaming. 10 years back, I remember people used to, or my family used to scold me while playing the games. Now you can say online gaming is a career. Take a revival of live entertainment. So that is orange economy. Live events rebounded post pandemic, crossing 100 billion in this. Like you see that क्या बोलते हैं उनको म्यूजिक शोज कोल्ड प्ले एंड ऑल and a strong spillover effects on tourism, hospitality and transport. Like recently India Pakistan match conducted in Colombo, Sri Lankan economy got a lot of benefit. So people just went there to watch the India Pakistan match, so they must have taken ETA from Sri Lankan government to visit, then booked the hotel, took a cab or something like that. So tourism got the boost. Okay, so part of the broader orange economy driven by creativity and cultural industry. Okay. Conclusion and way forward. continues to be a key pillar. Resilience, structural transformation, and all. So, way forward is very simple. If you see advanced economy, services dominated, but manufacturing base is strong. In India, it is not. Okay, in India, we are growing on the back of services. Okay, I hope you can understand. So here in India, just to summarize things, okay, you can understand from this perspective. Advanced economies, services dominate, but manufacturing sector provided a strong base. Like if you compare East Asian countries, manufacturing led with services supporting in it. Manufacturing is leading, but services supporting. But if you see India, India's services led without deep manufacturing. We don't have in-depth manufacturing base, but still India is a service-led economy. So excessive reliance on services is also one of the reasons behind limited job creation in India. So that act as a constraint in productivity diffusion. But one thing is very important to understand. If you see the summary of this chapter summary is very simple. Economic survey highlights the service sector in India's principal source of macroeconomic stability. So economic survey says that if India is cruising, service sector provides stability to the macroeconomy. How? Macroeconomic stability through export resilience, productivity growth. While if you see services have cushioned the economy against global slowdown, which we have seen in the merchandise trade. Okay. So it supported balance of payment during these times. So chapter cautious against over-reliance and narrow set of high-skill services. So why I have unlocked this chapter in front of you, after seeing this, you will never forget what are the sectors coming under services. Do you agree with me on this? Just write agree in the chat box. Do you agree with me on this? Now you know what are the terms coming under services like IT, communication, real estate. So you will never forget. You have never studied services in detail, in that much of detail that we have discussed today. So unlocking new services through digitalization, urban reforms, diversification is essential to make services more employment intensive. So it does not mean that if India's services are growing, we should stop that because that is not creating employment. We should make our service sector more employment intensive, more inclusive, more complementary to manufacturing sector, manufacturing-led growth. How complementary? I have given one example. Logistics is a service, but when you add technology in it, barcode and all, everything, with the help of services, it improves the manufacturing in the back end. So people are manufacturing sari, clothes, textile because logistics are improving. So it is becoming complementary in nature. And when you add a digital economy, people start buying from mobile phone, like all of you bought. Simple. We all are connected with our mobile phone only. Just because you are buying course at Ecoholics, somebody in the manufacturing sector is producing study material. Are you getting my point? In that manufacturing sector of paper, somebody will get extra job just to produce more set of A4 size papers in order to in order to fulfill the increased demand. Okay. So that is how it is important. So when manufacturing sector is supporting, support it. But services are growing, make it employment intensive. That's what service sector is saying. I hope you enjoyed the chapter. I made my best to make it interesting. In some of the place, you must have felt that it is little bit boring when data is there. But data is important to see so that you understand the magnitude of that. Okay, I hope after seeing the whole lecture, you will see the services from the different perspective. Okay. So that's it for today. And I will see you with another chapter. Yes, you enjoyed. Thank you, Ravali. Thank you, Devashish. Okay, so I hope you got the clarity, and this clarity should translate in the answer copy. Okay. Thank you, Nikita. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all your lovely words.